Differentiating assessments with Google Forms is very simple. By using the Make a Copy feature, you're able to change the type of response you're looking for on each form. In this video, I'm going to show you how to differentiate your assessment in Google Forms. And this is pretty simple to do. I'm going to start by creating a new Google form. And my example is going to be a states and capitals quiz. I'm going to start with a short answer question. So what is the capital of Massachusetts? And I'm going to change the option to short answer. So a student answering the question will have to answer with a word or a phrase in this area. Add a question. And again, short answer. I'm going to make this about 5 questions, just so I'm able to show you the example. Now, if I want to just duplicate that question rather than changing the answer type, every single time I can do that. It will just duplicate the question, and then I can go back and just change the city name. And I duplicate it by just clicking this icon right here. And my final question. Okay, and I'm just going to title my form. And since the color I've chosen to represent my higher level learners is blue, I'm going to select that from the color palette. And I can also just preview it if I want by clicking the eye. And there it is. So to modify this or differentiate the assessment based on student level or learning needs, I'm going to actually just make a copy of this quiz, and I'm going to rename it States and Capitals Quiz B, and I'm going to change the color palette on it to red, because that's the color that I'm chosen to represent my second group. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to click on this question, and instead of making it a short answer response, I'm going to click multiple choice, and then I'm going to type in my options. So I'm going to make 2 options there. Okay, and then I just can go down here, click on my question. Instead of making it short answer, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do multiple choice and add my options. The last thing I'm going to do is make a 3rd copy of the quiz, and to do that I go here, make a copy, and this one I'm going to call States and Capitals Quiz C. I'm going to change my color coding to green. So for this last modified version, I'm actually going to keep the multiple choice, but I'm going to add a visual to each question. So to do that, I just click on the question and I go here to where it says add image. I'm going to do a search and type in Massachusetts. Select this picture. And add that. Add a title to the image. Like so. And right now my picture is actually below my question, which is fine, but if I want to change that, all I will need to do is just click here, these little dots, and drag it up. And as you can see, it will be above the question. If I want to make it smaller, I just click on the image, drag it in like so, and there you go. Okay, I'll show you that again. So now I have a visual. I'm going to go to my Florida example, click on my question, go over to the right hand side. You can also add a video, but we're going to add an image of Florida. Just to put my image title. I'm going to make my image smaller just by clicking on it and dragging like that. And it's kind of an intuitive thing to want to save this. No button, you just click off of the question and move on to the next one, and it will automatically save. So that just gives you a little example. I'm actually going to preview the form to show you the actual way it would look in a form. And there you go. The last way to modify a test or a quiz or an assessment in forms is to create sections. And you can actually modify the number of questions on the form by doing this, and also the type of questions. So what I recommend is first creating it does require some forethought. You're going to have to plan out in advance how you want to chunk your questions. So this is going to be my first section of my states and capitals quiz. It's 4 questions that are short answer response questions. And what I'm going to do next after the 4 short answer questions were created is add a section, and you do that right over here. And so this will be considered section 1, and now I'm starting section 2. And then I'm going to just add a few questions just to show you. There we go. I have 4 multiple choice answers. Okay, so depending on how I want to structure my quiz, I can add more multiple choice questions to section 2. But just know that you can create more and more sections and break up your questions based on sections. So what do I now do with that? And I'm just going to leave it untitled. And then I'm going to make a copy of the quiz. And I want to cut down on the number of questions that are on this quiz. And you'll see here it says after section 1, continue to the next section. Well, if I want students to work on section 2, I don't touch this. But let's say I want to completely eliminate section 2. If I click the down arrow here, I can say go to section 3. And this section is going to be what you know about Boston. Okay. And then, if you remember, after section 1, I've required that students go to section 3. If I preview, you'll see that students will have the option to complete section 1, then click next, and it will completely skip over section 2 and lead them to section 3. If I go back to my form, I can do many different variations of this. So for instance, I could have, after that section, I could have students just submit the form. So it skips over both the multiple choice and what you know about Boston. So in doing that, if I preview that, it just has those 4 questions and then submit. So using the add section feature allows you to kind of create different sections of your quiz and then use this option, the after section option, to click down and determine where students move to in the quiz.